fights we have fought for American jobs and American workers. Because of you, we have unleashed prosperity for the American people and revitalized our nation's great manufacturers. We truly have. And just as we're grateful to each of you, and just as we're grateful to each and every one of you for your support, let me assure you that America's manufacturers have no greater champion than President Donald Trump. This is a president whose family lived the American dream, came up in a small business of his own, a small family business, watched his father build an enterprise. He had a bigger dream. He wanted to go across the river and build the big buildings on Manhattan Island and eventually build a national and an international name and reputation in construction and hotels and hospitality. But this is a president that understands that a nation grows if a nation builds. He understands that manufacturing is vital to our nation. You in the room here build our roads and bridges. You make the cars and trucks that make America run. You forge the planes that travel our skies. You discover and develop life-saving medicines. You deliver affordable energy that powers our homes and businesses. You produce the food that feeds the nation and the world. And when it's all said and done, you make our families stronger, our lives more prosperous, and American manufacturing makes America succeed. You also create good-paying jobs that are really the foundation of the American dream for millions of our fellow citizens. You know, I come from the state of Indiana, where back when I was governor, I used to say in the Hoosier State, we do two things well. We make things and we grow things. And I know the strength that manufacturing is in my home state and is in states all across this country. You actually, at this very moment, manufacturers employ more than 12 million Americans in all 50 states. And as President Trump said when he spoke, to you in our first year in office, the drive and dedication of your workers makes this country run. And their creations power our communities and protect our nation. The truth is, American manufacturing and American manufacturing workers are the backbone of America. It's the truth. And all told, manufacturers contribute more than $2 trillion to our economy, and the overwhelming majority are small businesses. And this president understands the critical role that manufacturers play in the life of our nation, and since day one, as you've observed and partnered with us, we've been fighting to make it easier for you to make the products that make America, and easier for the men and women who work on your shop floors to succeed. Since the 2016 election, I'm proud to report to you that with your strong support for the policies that we've advanced, businesses large and small across this nation have created 5.3 million new jobs, and that includes good-paying manufacturing jobs all across America. You know, it's amazing to think under the last administration, more than 2,000 manufacturing jobs were lost every single month on average. 210,000 jobs lost to manufacturing over the 8 years of the past administration. In fact, the truth is the last administration all but gave up on manufacturing in America. I'll never forget at a town hall meeting in 2016, right after my running mate had promised that we would bring back manufacturing jobs, then President Obama memorably asked, quote, "What magic wand do you have?" Remember that? He couldn't believe it. He said, quote, "What exactly are you going to do?" Adding, quote, "There's no answer to it." The words of the last president of the United States. But you in this room knew we did have an answer. Less government, less taxes, less regulation, and President Donald Trump. And we thank you for your leadership and support. The truth is, in our first year in office, we more than made up for the loss of manufacturing jobs under the last administration. And today, thanks to your hard work and this president's leadership, There have been 480,000 new manufacturing jobs created since Election Day. No magic wand, just common sense American ideals put into practice, and manufacturing is roaring back. In fact, I'm told 2018 was the best year for manufacturing job creation in more than 20 years. Last year also marked the highest level of optimism among manufacturers ever recorded. Just a few months ago, NAM announced that more than 92% of American manufacturers have a positive outlook on the future. And I can just tell, looking at all of your faces, that that statistic is holding even through today. But you know, it's not just manufacturing. Under our administration, unemployment has hit a nearly 50-year low. We've seen the lowest unemployment rates on record for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans. And just last week, after the previous administration and countless experts said it couldn't be done, our administration announced that for the first time in 13 years, we achieved over 3% economic growth for an entire calendar year. The American economy is roaring again. Now, this is a testament to all of you who are gathered here and to job creators in businesses large and small all across the country. And it's a testament to all the hardworking Americans that you employ. The truth is, the reforms that we brought about have meant more money to invest in your business. A growing economy also means more money for your workers and for their families. And one of the most encouraging statistics of the President and me is that after years where we saw wages, stubbornly stuck at a modest level of growth, today wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 10 years. They're growing fastest for blue-collar workers, the backbone of the American economy. The forgotten men and women of America are forgotten no more, and working Americans are prospering as they haven't done so for more than a decade. And you know, I don't have to tell you in this room, this hasn't just happened. It's a direct result of the leadership and the policies that President Trump and our administration have been advancing and that you've been fighting for, literally fighting for, since day one of this administration and throughout the long tenure of this great association. But just look at what we've done in the area of regulation alone. The National Association of Manufacturers actually studied this issue, and I'm told that you found that federal red tape costs manufacturing businesses an astounding $19,500 per employee per year. And for those of you running small manufacturing firms with fewer than 50 employees, the burden of federal regulation almost doubles to nearly $35,000 per employee per year. It's amazing. That's why President Trump promised on the campaign trail and every day since to roll back the heavy hand of government. And we set a goal at the start of this administration to cut 2 federal regulations for every new federal regulation that we put on the books. But we didn't quite hit that mark, because the truth is, we blew right past it. In the last year alone, I'm pleased to report to you, thanks to the President's leadership, our administration has cut 12 federal regulations for every new federal rule put on the books. We're cutting federal red tape as never before. In fact, this president has signed more bills cutting federal red tape than any president in American history. And since our election, we've actually delivered more than $33 billion in regulatory savings for working families and business owners. And under President Trump's leadership, we've also been busy unleashing American energy, the lifeblood of our economy, manufacturing, and the entire nation. We withdrew from the job-killing Paris Climate Accord. He approved early on the Keystone and Dakota pipelines. He opened up the Alaska National Wildlife Region, one of the largest oil and gas fields in the world. And thanks to these collective actions and the ingenuity of our energy producers, the United States of America is now the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas. And of course, with the strong support of NAM, before the end of our first year in office, President Trump signed the largest tax cuts and tax reform in American history. We cut taxes across the board for working families, family farms, and businesses large and small, and manufacturers just like those gathered here. We slashed the corporate tax rate from the highest in the developed world to below the average. We eliminated the death tax for nearly every American small business owner, and we gave businesses like yours the ability to deduct 100% of the cost of your new equipment for the next 5 years. For decades, jobs and investment poured overseas, but in the past 2 years, company after company have been making record investments right here in America, because under this president and this administration, we will always promote and protect what the president calls those 4 beautiful words: made in the USA. But for all we've accomplished in these first few years, as this president likes to say, that's just what we call a good start. If you haven't noticed, the American people actually elected a builder to be the 45th president of the United States. And I'm here to tell you that this president and our administration are absolutely committed to rebuilding the infrastructure of America. It is time for a major bill from the Congress to rebuild the roads and bridges and ports and highways of America. As the President said in that State of the Union address, both parties should be able to unite for a great rebuilding of America's crumbling infrastructure, and so they should. We're committed to working with the Congress to make these historic investments in our infrastructure so that businesses can get your goods to market quicker and more efficiently than ever. You know, I've always said that roads mean jobs, and I don't just mean road jobs. I mean, the truth is, those of you in manufacturing understand that the right infrastructure makes it possible for you to deliver your goods not only across your state, across the nation, but across the world. And we're going to make sure that you have the infrastructure to support a growing economy. And to make sure that you can hire the workers you need to keep growing your business and investing in workers, this president also making it easier than ever for the American people to get the training they need for the manufacturing jobs of the future. Recent studies show nearly 3.5 million manufacturing jobs are going to be created by businesses like yours in the next decade, but some 2.4 million of those jobs could go unfilled. 70% of manufacturers are already seriously concerned about finding workers, and I hear it all the time as I travel around the country about the need for workers and the need for job training and workforce development. The skilled trades in particular, I'm told, are increasingly hard to come by. Electricians, welders, machinists are in high demand, and too few Americans pursue these valuable paths. You know, the president and I believe that all honest work is honorable, and that's why in our first year, the president signed an executive order to expand apprenticeships and vocational education to help all Americans adapt to the constantly changing needs of the 21st century America. We will make sure that we have the best trained workforce in the world, and we'll work with each and every one of you to accomplish that. But it's not just here at home where we've been fighting for America's manufacturers. This president's also been busy forging new trade deals that put American jobs and American workers first. From Europe to the Indo-Pacific, we're negotiating deals that are built on the principles of free, fair, and reciprocal trade. And let me take a moment to thank all the leaders of this great organization for your strong support of our administration last year, when the president negotiated and signed a replacement for the outdated NAFTA deal. The United States-Mexico-Canada agreement has arrived. The USMCA, as it's known more briefly, is going to impact, we believe, more than 2 million American manufacturing jobs that depend on exports from Canada and Mexico. The USMCA will finally give workers the level playing field that we need to compete and win on a global stage. But now that the agreement has been signed and it's going to be considered in the Congress, let me take this opportunity to encourage your renewed energy and support. Governor Ducey and I were just speaking about this a few moments ago, about the importance of us hearing from business leaders and from state officials like him about the importance of swift congressional approval of the USMCA. The truth is, we've done our jobs. We've negotiated a deal that puts American jobs and American workers first, and it's time for Congress to do theirs. So we urge you to send a strong message to members of Congress in all 50 states that it's time to approve the USMCA, and we must see it approved by Congress this year. While we've been forging new trade deals, we've also been standing up to unfair trade practices where we've encountered them around the world, and that most especially applies to the relationship and the challenges that we've faced in our economic trading relationship with China. For too long, China has pursued policies that are inconsistent with free and fair trade, and we all know it. As President Trump said, for years the United States faced, in his words, tremendous tariffs in trading relations with China. In fact, in 2017 alone, Beijing's trade abuses contributed to a $375 billion trade deficit between the United States and China. But as President Trump made clear, those days are over. You know, I'll never forget one of the early meetings in the first year of our administration with Chinese officials that came to the Oval Office in the White House. The business leaders in the room would have loved to have been there. You know, this president has a way of negotiating the way you all do over business deals every single day. There's a friendliness about it, there's a cordialness about it, and then there's a directness about it. And I'll never forget when we sat in the Oval Office with one of the Chinese officials that had come over. The president told him, you know, things have to change, that $400 billion trade deficits was no longer acceptable. Business as usual had to change. But he started it out by saying, look, he looked at them and said, look, you all have done your thing. And he said, that's the past. This is now the future. He said, I'm not looking backwards, I'm looking forwards. But he did look at this Chinese official, I got to tell you, and he said, he looked at him, he referred to a trade barrier, Governor, that had been erected sometime in the early part of the last decade. And the president looked at him across the Oval Office, and he said, "Would you all put that trade barrier up?" And he said, "Yeah, we did." And he said, "Do you mind if I ask you how'd you get away with that?" And the Chinese official looked at him rather shyly and said, "Nobody ever called." And the president just said, "Well, there you have it." Well, I'm here to tell you, men and women of the National Association of Manufacturers, those days are over. This president is picking up the phone. He is traveling the world. He is fighting for trade deals that are free and fair and reciprocal. And we're going to have trade that wins for America and wins for American manufacturers. Now, 2 weeks ago, I'm pleased to report a delegation of Chinese officials came to Washington, D.C. to continue our ongoing negotiations. As the president reported there, that we've made substantial progress, most especially on structural issues, things like intellectual property and forced technology transfers, all the kinds of things that have beset American manufacturers seeking to do business in that part of the world. The president said, and we all recognize that for the first time, America's put ourselves in a position of strength, having imposed tariffs of some $250 billion. And I can assure you that negotiations are going to continue. The president's actually announced that he's making plans to meet with President Xi in the near future to resolve outstanding issues. In fact, we're so encouraged that because these discussions have been so productive, the president decided to delay an increase in American tariffs that had been scheduled for just a few days ago. But I want to promise each and every one of you in this room, President Trump and our administration will continue to stand strong until we establish trade between the United States and China that is free and fair and reciprocal. Finally, as we gather here in Arizona, and I know you're here from all over the country, people here of Arizona appreciate more than most, we have a crisis on our southern border. And this president has stepped forward to provide leadership to address that crisis. The truth is, despite what you may hear from some of those that oppose the president's border security agenda on Capitol Hill, this is a crisis the likes of which we've never seen before. I mean, for the first time ever, the majority of illegal immigrants coming into our country are unaccompanied minors and families, people who are being exploited by drug cartels and human traffickers to make the long and dangerous journey north to our southern border. Just today, the Department of Homeland Security announced that during this fiscal year to date, Customs and Border Protection has seen a more than 300% increase in the number of family units apprehended compared to the year ago. And we saw an incredible rise in the number of large groups who are attempting to cross the border. 2 years ago, and the governor knows these numbers well, 2 years ago, Border Patrol only encountered 2 groups of 100 or more individuals. But today, Secretary Nielsen announced that more than 70 large groups have been apprehended, a total of more than 12,000 people. Now, Democrats in Washington say this is a manufactured crisis, but the only thing manufactured is their outrage. Every day we don't secure our border, we allow the crisis to worsen. More lives to be endangered on both sides of the border. More drugs to flow into our country, and more harm to come to American jobs and American workers. That's why President Trump has taken such a strong stand for border security. We've already started to build the wall. We've secured some $23 billion for border security funding, and the president used his authority under the law to declare a national emergency on our southern border. Now, some in Congress are trying to stop the president from exercising the authority that Congress gave him to address this very real crisis. So today, allow me to call on each and every one of you to join us in calling on members of the Senate to support the president's emergency declaration, stand up for border security, and put the safety and security and well-being of America first. Now, before I close, know this. In the days and weeks and months ahead, we're going to continue working to ensure that our nation's manufacturers grow and thrive, because we know that when you succeed, America succeeds. The stakes could not be higher, and the choice we face could not be clearer. As I said this weekend at another gathering, it is remarkable to think that as we gather here today, leading Democrats are openly advocating an economic system that has impoverished millions around the world. Under the guise of what's called Medicare for All, or the Green New Deal, Democrats in Washington, D.C. and in the national debate are embracing the same tired economic theories that impoverish nations and have stifled the liberties of millions over the past century. That system is socialism. What they're actually offering is just more of the same. More taxes, more spending, more government, and less freedom. I've said before, I'll say it again. It was freedom, not socialism, that gave us the most prosperous economy in the history of the world. It was freedom, not socialism, that ended slavery, won 2 world wars, and stands today as a beacon of hope for all the world. It was freedom, not socialism, that is moving us beyond the prejudices of the past to create a more perfect union and extend the blessings of liberty to every American. It was freedom, not socialism, that gave us the highest quality of life, the cleanest environment on earth, and improved the health and well-being of millions around the world. The truth is, what Medicare for All really means is quality health care for none. And the only thing green about the Green New Deal is how much green it's going to cost all of us if they ever actually pass it into law. Truth is, Margaret Thatcher had it right. The trouble with socialism is you eventually run out of other people's money. The truth is, we want to make poor people richer. They want to make rich people poorer. We want to make poverty more rare. They want to make poverty more comfortable. I mean, that really is the choice that we face today. For all the progress that we have made over the last 2 years, as we look at the days ahead, and I look at this gathering of extraordinary business leaders and job creators from all across the country, I hope you'll see that choice before us as well. It is a debate between freedom and socialism, a debate between personal responsibility and government dependence. The President said it well in his State of the Union address. In his words, America was founded on liberty and independence, not on government coercion, domination, and control. And so I say, the moment America becomes a socialist country is the moment America ceases to be America. So I say to all of the leaders gathered here today, for the sake of our economy and our jobs, for the sake of all the hard-working people that are living the American dream, working at great companies like yours, or aspiring to work with you and work in your enterprises, for all of those that have a dream and want to live it out, and for the sake of our freedom, let's say no to socialism. Let's say yes to freedom and prosperity and the pro-growth agenda that we know will make America strong. And I promise you, the President and I are going to keep fighting. Keep fighting for all the things that you've supported over the last 2 years that have revived American manufacturing and are reviving this economy. But the truth is, it's going to take all of us in the days ahead. So I want to encourage each one of you to do your part. Keep promoting pro-growth policies, pro-jobs policies in Washington, D.C. and all around the country. And promote the policies that you know are going to not only make your company stronger, but make our states and our nation stronger. By that I mean, talk to your employees. Talk to your workers. Go meet with people in the cafeteria. Talk about the larger issues of the day. Talk about how we've been able to roll back taxes and regulation, how we've been able to fight for free and fair and reciprocal trade in ways that are contributing to their livelihood and the opportunities that they and their family have. Tell them how we've been rolling back the heavy hand of government so that your company can innovate, give them job security, and create more opportunities for more people in the community in the years ahead. I mean, tell them how we're putting Washington, D.C. back to work for them. And tell them that we're going to keep fighting for each and every one of them. Talk to your suppliers as well. Talk to your business associates. Send out an email. I mean, the truth of the matter is, those of us who serve in public office, whether it be the president, whether it be the governor, whether it be Linda McMahon, or this vice president, we can only do so much. You're the leaders in your communities, in your state, and all across this nation. And we want to encourage you today to let your voice be heard on all these major issues. Just know that sending an editorial to your local paper, sitting down for a local interview, talking to your employees, or speaking at a local Rotary Club makes the difference all across this country. And we encourage you to let your voice be heard. And I truly do believe that with your continued support, with President Donald Trump in the White House, with support all across this country for policies that are making American manufacturing and American economy strong, and with God's help, we will make this country more prosperous than we could ever possibly imagine. We will make this country safer than it's ever been before. And to borrow a phrase, we will make America great again. Thank you all very much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. It's an honor to be with you all.